Hi, Sarah Pacaro, Rapid Transformational Therapist. Today we're going to talk about different ways that having a toxic or unhealthy, aka narcissistic parent, can impact you in adulthood. So we talk about this in regards to a lot of different things, whether it's the partners that you choose specifically to be with, and it always has a past connection, which is always to your upbringing. So if you're looking for a powerful way to heal from within, that's where it starts. Why did I end up in this relationship with a toxic and unhealthy person as an adult? Well, maybe one of the chances and reasons are because you had that type of parenting and modeling given to you when you were growing up. So if you had a narcissistic or toxic and unhealthy parent, as an adult, you have those same traits and inner beliefs about yourself, and they impact you in very significant ways. So as a child, if you were raised with a narcissistic or toxic and unhealthy parent, you had less power. You had fewer resources than your parents because you were a dependent child, dependent on this toxic and unhealthy adult in your life. And a narcissistic parent may have used dependency to take advantage of you for their own satisfaction and gratification, which is extremely damaging to any child. So the following list that I share with you are common behaviors of narcissistic parents. And as you hear these lists, or these traits on this list, I want you to think about which elements of these apply to your childhood if you had toxic and unhealthy or parents with narcissistic traits. So when you were growing up, maybe it was one or maybe it was both of your parents that had these traits. Did they ever deprive you? And I'm not talking just physical things or like the Nike shoes that you wanted when you were in 6th grade. Did they ever deprive you or make you feel small? I mean, emotionally. Did you feel small? Did you feel like you couldn't express yourself? You couldn't be big and boisterous and loud. You couldn't truly express yourself. Did they make you feel small? Or did they deprive you of different things, emotionally in particular? Did they view the world in these all or nothing terms? It was black and white, my way or the highway. If you had a parent that viewed the world in that way, you're going to have ramifications and an impact of that in your own adult life. Did they treat you like a second-class citizen? Meaning, were you to sit down and shut up, be seen and not heard? If that's the case, now as an adult, you may struggle to express yourself, to use your voice, to even understand what it is that you're feeling. Did these parents, one or both, discount your intuition or make you doubt your perceptions? That's a big one. And now as an adult in a toxic and unhealthy relationship, you don't trust your inner guidance, that gut feeling, that intuition. Because if you had narcissistic parents, you discounted that intuition. You doubted your perceptions. That's a form of gaslighting, is doubting your perceptions or that reality. Did they blame you or did they shame you constantly? That toxic shame that stays with you. It doesn't magically go away because you move out of the house when you turn 18 or go off to college or get married. Stays with you. So did they blame or shame you? Did they love you conditionally instead of unconditionally? Children are looking for receiving unconditional love, to know that they fit in, they belong, they matter, that their parents want them. If you received love conditionally, like I will love you if you're a good girl, I'll love you if you clean your room, I'll love you if you don't talk back, or did they love you erratically? Was it given one moment and then taken away the next? Was it unpredictable? You didn't know what you had to do to earn love. So if love was given conditionally or erratically, that has a big impact on you. Did they intimidate you? Did they use scare tactics or bullying tactics to intimidate or undermine you? That's a big sign of toxic and unhealthy parents or narcissistic parents that stays with you. And the mind likes what's familiar. So if you had parents that did these things or a parent that did these things, you'll notice you chose this in your partner later on when you became an adult. So if they intimidated or undermined you, did they exploit your vulnerabilities and betray your trust? Maybe I thought I could trust them. I thought my parents would keep me safe and protect me, but they didn't. And what whatever it was, an area that you were vulnerable, they exploited and they used against you, and they betrayed your trust. Look, you'll start to notice the patterns in this narcissistic partner that you chose as an adult on your own if you had a narcissistic or toxic parent that did this when you were a child. Do they criticize you or attack you for having feelings that they didn't like? Maybe you were angry, you were upset, and you were crying, and you were screaming, and you were just slamming your door and going up to your room. They didn't like that. You got punished because your parents did not like the way that you expressed your feelings. Or they attacked you for that, or criticized you for it. Called you a baby. Look at you, you're such a crybaby. Look at you. Excuse me. Did your parents act larger than life, or just to outsiders, but they ignored your needs? So to the outside world, they seemed like the most amazing parents that loved you and would do anything for you. But behind closed doors at home, that was not the case. Your needs were ignored. If you have a toxic and unhealthy parent or a narcissistic parent, you will see that they act larger than life and everybody loves them. This is especially true with covert. Did they put their own needs first, even when it deprived or hurt you? It's okay to put yourself first, but not at the expense of other people. And if you had parents that were toxic or unhealthy or narcissistic, they put their needs first when it deprived or hurt you. So say, for example, they said they didn't have any money and they were off, going out to the bars and drinking and going out and spending all this money. Meanwhile, they weren't using that money that they did have to buy groceries or clothes for school or school supplies, but they were going out and spending it with all their friends. So things like that is what I mean. Did your parents lie? Did they stonewall you? Did they hold grudges against you? Did you have to become this person who would do anything to get and receive their affection and their attention? Did they hold grudges? Did they bring up stuff like when you're a teenager? Yeah, I remember when you were a little kid, you were such a bad kid. You did this all the time. And you're thinking, what? I was just a kid. That was like 10, 15, that was 20 years ago. Maybe you're an adult now and your narcissistic parent still brings up stuff from what you did when you were a kid. And you're thinking, wow, really? That's the type of personality that they have. Do they rarely apologize or admit when they were wrong? There's not a single person walking this planet that doesn't have faults. So, did this narcissistic or toxic parent ever apologize to you when they made a mistake? Did they ever say, honey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was in a bad mood, had a really bad, tough day at work. I was wrong. I apologize. Or did they rarely do that, making you feel like it was always your fault? So each of these parental behaviors can leave lasting and extremely negative legacies. A key step to moving on is recognizing these connections between your upbringing and these present day unwanted behaviors that you have now in your life. So we're going to go over some different possible connections between unhealthy patterns in your adult life and narcissistic parental behaviors from your childhood. So there's going to be, imagine like a left-hand column and a right-hand column. So as an adult, do you sometimes feel that you need permission to do things that you're perfect? You need permission to do things. Possible connection is that your parents deprived you or tried to make you feel small. It wasn't okay for you to step into your light and shine. How about if you assume that you have no good choices, or you fail to identify any viable options? That may be because in the past your parents viewed the world in this all or nothing, those black or white terms. Maybe you feel undeserving, and that could be because your parents treated you as a second-class citizen. So maybe you have this thought now of who am I? Who do I think I am too? And maybe it's even, who am I to, get out of this unhealthy relationship? Or who am I to take that promotion at work? Someone else deserves it, but I don't. Maybe you second guess yourself or you find it difficult to trust your instincts. This is a huge one. This is because in the past, when you were with this, being raised by this toxic and unhealthy parent, your parents discounted your intuition, made you doubt your perceptions, made you feel like what you were experiencing wasn't real. Maybe you struggle with intimacy or to feel uncertain about what true love is. I don't even know what that is. I struggle to be intimate or receive pleasure from somebody. This is because your parents shamed you or loved you conditionally or loved you erratically. If you have difficulty with authority figures, this could be because your parents intimidated you or undermined you, because as a dependent child, your parents are your authority figures. How about feeling anxious about depending on someone in a close relationship? This connection is because your parents exploited your vulnerabilities or betrayed your trust. How about finding it hard to express your feelings or even know what you feel? That's because your parents criticized or attacked you for having emotions that they didn't like. Maybe you expect that others are going to hurt you or take advantage of you. It's just something that you expect. You just know it's going to happen. This is because your parents put their needs first, even when it deprived or hurt you. So I hope that you can see these connections. How about you accept dysfunctional behavior in a relationship and you think it's normal or it's unavoidable? That's because your parents maybe lied to you, they maybe stonewalled you, they held grudges, or they would never admit that they were wrong. So if you're seeing these patterns and these connections between your present relationship or maybe the most recent one or past one, it always has a connection to your upbringing and your past, the way that you were brought up with your parents or your caregivers. Because we're not just passive recipients of parental control and narcissistic behavior. We're sponges. Human behavior is very complex, and what you see modeled for you determines these inner beliefs that you have about yourself. So, if your parent did X, you will automatically do Y. But narcissistic parenting is very powerful, and taking stock of these unhealthy legacies is a big, big part of the healing. But remember that your history is not your destiny. You are not responsible at all for what your parents did to you. You did not make your parents mistreat you, make them treat you this way. Your parents chose their behaviors. They had a choice. You always have a choice to choose. So at the same time, you are responsible for what you do with your life now. And by acknowledging unhealthy habits and behaviors in your current life and identifying how they are connected to your upbringing, then you can do the work to finally break free from those unhealthy connections and free yourself from this painful legacy. This is exactly the journey that I take my clients on, and it is an extremely life-changing, powerful one. If it's one that you're ready for and you see these connections, then it's time for us to connect. So please reach out. You can click on the banner or send me a message to schedule a call. You can always visit my website as well. It's www.re-write-your-life. Thank you guys. Again, I hope this information is helpful. Sarah Pacaro, Rapid Transformational Therapist, and I look forward to connecting and taking you on your healing journey soon.